Okay, you can probably tell I'm sitting here in the background just waiting. I gave you 45 seconds of uninterrupted epidemic sound instrumental. Yeah, here we are. Hello. I got my new screen here. I looked at it. Yesterday afternoon, I played back, about 20 or 30 minutes of my own show. Would you believe it? There's a egomaniac in the waiting. Yeah. But it's nice, to pay attention. You can see there's a seam right here. See right there? And it goes from the date. You're looking through the control screen at the control screen. Yeah. Because this is going to here, and then that's going to there, and oh my God. I've actually tricked the system so that, good morning. It's not 7 o'clock, but my watch and my iPhone told me good morning. So anyway, good morning. So you can see I'm jiggling the 7. It's Friday. It's 7th of March. Can you believe it? The first week in March is now being, it's moving along. At 12:01, it'll be March 8th. How about that for a stroke of genius? So March 7th is today. I don't know if you guys have been noticing, but over this, on March 1st, I changed my insurance. On March 2nd, my daughter, my wife, and my son, they all decided, I guess I did too, that we're going to go up to Washington and spend a long weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Travel Friday, get there Friday afternoon. Saturday, Sunday in Washington, D.C. and fly back Monday. Okay, well, because my blood oxygen, my SO2, as they call it in the hospital circles, my SO2 was, like 87, 82, 85. You get into 70 and you start to fall on your face because you don't have enough oxygen feeding things. It's the amount. It's your hemoglobin. Hemoglobin. I know. I'm sorry. I was trained as a biochemist, and then I was being trained as a pre-med student, beginning my sophomore year. So kind of have I learned all the big words. I didn't dissect any human bodies, although we did dissect a cat. For some reason or other, undergraduate biology, they don't like to dissect cadavers. Abracadabra. So they have you dissecting cats. And then you have to memorize all 214 bones, muscles. Can you believe it? You're memorizing all the bones and the muscles of a cat. And apparently some of the bones, the structures, knees, ankles, the backbone and the rib bone and and the ham bone. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, March 1st, I changed my insurance from Cigna, which is terrible because they kept declining all my drugs. How about that? For a nice thing, yeah. Not all my drugs, but all the ones that cost over $1,000. It's pretty stiff when you got 3 or 4 drugs that are like $1,500 a month. And try that. So 3 times 15 is 4,500. Okay, 10 months, that's 45,000. And of course, these are cash dollars after tax. So it costs you, 45,000. It's about 50,000. No insurance, 50,000. Well, and I'm just doing the 3 drugs, that average $1,500 a piece. Jesus. I have an inhaler. That's $1,500. A Zempic, $1,250 a month. Anyway, so I said, Cigna, you're out of here. I called my, remember, this is just a conversation. The privately between you and me. We're sitting, just pretend we're sitting at Cafe Max, or, on the outside table, or, or Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah. We have a table for 6. We're sitting around a table, Dunkin' Donuts. There are three of us around the table, and there are 3 more coming. That's the future perfect tense. Not here yet. Hopefully coming. Anyway, so changing insurance can be very annoying. It is very annoying. Not can be, nothing about it. Because you got to tell everybody, And of course you can't reach anybody. Everything's robocall, answer, oh, you're in our new system, and what's the name number? What's their extension number? Of course you don't have their extension number. Okay, go to press star and enter the first 3 letters of their last name. And of course it comes up with somebody else. So you got to hang up and start over. Anyway, I'm not going to drag you through all that, but that was half of yesterday. February 28th I started doing this. Yeah. I just finally, so now I just finished a fax. Let me see if I can show you. Just so you can see that. Yeah, so we're gonna shrink that down. So now it's, in the, let's see if I go, let's go here. You can see fax over here. So now there's my faxes. Faxes sent. 3 pages. There we go. And here's the first page. See, fax from my fax machine. Look at that. For $99 a year, I get unlimited faxes. And that's my fax number. So I get so you can send me a fax. Anybody want to try to send me a fax? No, I don't think so. But if you dial the number, you go, it does the beep beep, so there's a fax line on there. I should send myself a fax. Anyway. So public. It's supposed to be Publix Pharmacy. Oh, there's a typo for you. Oh boy. That's auto type. All right. Anyway, they get the pharmacist. It went to Publix Pharmacy. James Wilson, D.O.B., has updated his health care, and there's all the numbers and the glyphs and the glocks, but I missed the public pharmacy. Maybe they should change their name. And of course, there's my Medicare information, Part A, Part B. Whoops. And there is a picture of my driver's license, which, of course, you can't see. But they can see, it looks like Jimmy, sort of. Anyway, so for $99 a year, so I had to tell my pharmacy I changed my thing. And of course, it's so new, I don't have my insurance cards yet. I think they're supposed to mail them. As of 2 days ago, they weren't in a mailbox, so I went to a mountain of mail. 4 inches of mail, can you believe it? I don't like to go to the mailbox. I want to get Tesla's Optimus robot. And the robot and I are going to walk down and get my mail at like midnight some night, because I don't want to have to explain to everybody in the building what the hell this thing is. It's a humanoid robot. Really, you can rent it for about $250 a month. Can you believe it? It's a robot that costs $10,000 to build. They've already built several thousand of them. This year they're going to make another 2,000 of them. And then the year after that, 2000, so this year they're going to build another 2,000. And then in 2026, I believe they're going to allow Jimmy and others to reserve one. So I'm going to, whatever that reserve date is, and I'm going to know the date, they're going to, yeah. All right, I'm used to seeing the tenth of a seconds. There we go. You see that? Yeah. 11 minutes and 12 minutes I've been on the air. Yeah. It's 8:48. You can see over here is the time of the day, and over here, whoops, is the time that I've been on the air. And then this little list right here, if you can see it, I can barely see it. Let me try to focus in on that list. Ooh, yeah, I guess I had it about as good as you're going to get. Yeah, it's a manual focus. So you rotate this dial. Of course, everything shakes when you do it. There we go. So I'll just... yeah. Yeah, it's like... it's not that hard to do, but... anyway, so you can see elapsed time there. You can see the real time there. It is 8:40. It's almost 8:50 a.m. 3, 2, 1, bam, 8:50. In case you want to set you can set your time on that, by the way, if you're live, because that is Apple's time right from the atomic clock, and through a few other circuits, but they verify, like every hour they resync it and verify it. It's like Apple when they came out with the Apple Watch. And so we have to have a satellite system. Can you imagine? We have to have a satellite system to make sure that that we're the exact time around the world. So you can see Cupertino's 5:50. Denver is 6:50. Going down this little list on the side over here, next to my elapsed time. Milwaukee is 7:50. Miami is 8:50. Of course, we 8:51. Would you boom 8:51. This clock is 6 seconds behind. 8:51, please. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. London is 1:51 p.m., even though we're 8:51 a.m., and I can slide this up. Paris is 2:51 p.m. Tel Aviv is 3:51 p.m. Beijing, China, Beijing, the beautiful city, ancient city of Beijing. If you haven't been there, that's something to do. Yeah. Because it's an iPad, I can slide this over. Look at that. Now this is a little bit, I think, is it bigger? You have to slide that over. It's not bigger. It's just separated. Yeah, so you can, I have two apps running at the same time on the iPad. There's a way of doing that. Yep, the iPad is a magical instrument. If I go here, what's going to happen? Oh yeah, this world clock. How do I just get a clock? Can I get a clock? All right, anyway, you can see the world clock. No alarms. Stopwatch. No. Timers. No. Cancel. Anyway, where am I going? Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to my photos. I take screenshots, screen images, so I can keep track. So I can see what the news is. So I took this at 7:01 a.m. I did these screenshots because I open every show with the month, the day, and and whether it's a Thursday or a Friday or whatever, so you can pick it up on your calendar. And we know it's March 7th, it's Friday. I must wake up. And there's a partial shot of my opening screen, of my iPhone. How about that? I can see the date of that, and I got all these. I have one row of icons I chopped off just so this fills the page a little better. Yeah, it's nice centered around the page. Because I'm doing this new broadcast thing, which I think I'm going to stay with, which you can see everything is, there's no black borders around everything. And if you forget what that means, if you're visually watching me, I go down here to the little, you can't see this, I hit crop split screen. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, bing. And now you see the black borders. But you see everything is a little bit smaller. Everything, both panels shrunk. So if I go back and hit that crop screen thing, and what is that? Shift up C. Yeah, okay. Up. Let's see. Control up C. All right. We can actually do a, but I got that. Never mind. So now you can see everything is full. Some things get chopped off. Like AFT is missing from this sentence. So I can just slide that over. And basically they're talking about Ozempic. And there's some all natural ways of losing weight other than Ozempic. Well, I'm telling you, no, I'm not taking Ozempic for weight loss because I don't need to lose any weight. I am marginally portly. I have probably 3/4 of an inch of unused weight around my middle, which is not terrible. I weigh about 160 pounds. Now, 160 pounds for someone that's 5'8", that's okay. That's right in the, that's in the notch for appropriate weight for someone who's crowding. I'm crowding 80. Oops, excuse me. I just banged the boom mic. Remember, I go. Sounds like a drum beat. That's just my little finger touching this microphone. It's very sensitive. So that's why they call it a boom mic, because if you boom it, it booms, and your speakers vibrate, and you get thrown out of the chair. Yeah. Anyway, so the ancillary benefit for those, the media, you really have to, I mean, my mother told me this when I was 10 or 11 years old. Believe half of what you hear. When you're face to face with somebody, just believe half of it. You can take the front half, the back half, the middle half. I mean, generally, half of what you hear and 25% of what you read. Okay? And now I know what she meant. 60, over 60 years later. Oh, is that what you meant? She's long gone. I'm sorry. So miss you, Mom. But anyway, You can't believe everything. You know, the media, they exaggerate on everything to make the news more exciting. They have an exciting headline, and then most times the news never circles back to the headline, so you don't know why the hell are they writing this story? It has nothing to do with the headline. And it happens all the time when I read these stories, that my Flipboard application draws in these stories from all these different periodicals that I said that I wanted to read from. I mean, it's like a stack of magazines that tall, right? Newspapers and magazines. That's in this hand, if you remember. And then in this hand is a stack of all the different topics. I want to know about science. I want to know about new drugs, old drugs, not so old drugs. Political news, science topics. I want to read about electric cars. I want to read about Model Y cars, Tesla cars, Optimus robot. Oh yeah, that's my favorite thing to read about now, because I wanted those suckers. I'm going to circle back to the robot and finish that subsection off. So at midnight, I want to walk my Tesla Optimus robot, Tesla bot, they call it. They use the bot, this. Anyway, so I want my Tesla bot, aka Optimus. I have named my robot, which I don't have yet, for a year. It's going to be Billy Bob. Billy Bob, would you get my cocktail? Billy Bob, go get my mail. Billy Bob, take the trash down to the trash chute, or I should say over to the trash chute room. Go to Billy Bob, take the trash to the 8th floor north trash chute. We have a north and a south one. So what you can do, you can put your robot, your Tesla bot, sorry, I have to get used to that. You can take Billy Bob. You might as well follow along with me. Yeah, we were watching a movie with Billy Bob Thornton. Was in the movie, so I said, that's it. Let's name Tesla bot Billy Bob. I originally was going to name him Charles, like a British subject. Charles, go get the mail, if you don't mind. No. It's going to be Billy Bob, because we're a little more modern, Jimmy. Or Charles. Yeah, maybe when I'm 90, I'll rename him Charles. Anyway, excuse me, I'm in a little sip of my beautifully warm coffee in my 20-ounce stainless steel double-walled vacuum insulated green thingy here. Yep. Someone gave it to me for Christmas. I have one with Halloween on it. I have one. Yeah. I got two of these green ones. In the evening, I fill a different one up, because this has like coffee, coffee taste in it. I want fill it up with ice. Billy Bob. He's going to make my cocktails too. Okay, Billy Bob, fill it up with ice all the way to the top. Level top. Shake it a little bit, level top. Put it down on the counter. Go get one of my little pill bottle containers, empty ones, that's full of vodka in the freezer. Pull out one of those little things with the white cap on it. Unscrew the white cap. Pour it in the top of my green 20-ounce mug. So we got ice in there. We've got about a 6-second pour of vodka in there. Okay. Put the empty over there. Go in the refrigerator and pull out my soda water. And fill this 20-ounce cup up to the top with soda water. So that makes like I'm going to say a 60-40 mix of vodka and fresh soda, made from distilled water, in my own little carbonation machine. Oh, if you're interested in that, I'll text it for you. Just send me a message and say, tell me about that soda making thing. So I make it with distilled water. And I have 5-pound cylinders of CO2 under my counter. So 5, 10, I got 20 pounds of CO2 under my counter. Yep. And one's empty, and I'm using one, and there's 2 full ones. So that'll last me, about 7 months. So when I'm working, when I'm when I'm down to my last cylinder that I'm using, I'm going to go to Keg, like K-E-G, like a keg of beer. It's actually a keg of beer store. Keg King. Boy, you say that 3 times fast. Yeah, it's Keg King. That's what it is. You can Google it. It's somewhere in Margate on 441. It's long. Yeah, it's like 30 minutes away, but it's the only place I know. They'll refill my 5-pound cylinders for $5 a piece. So that's a good deal when you can get a CO2 at $1 a pound. Yep. So that'll bring me home 15 more pounds of CO2 piled underneath the sink. It's a very convenient fit under the sink. Because it's about 2 feet tall, or I don't know exactly, but it fits underneath the standard countertop, situation when you have kitchen cabinets. Yeah, no special size there. So a 5-pound cylinder fits very conveniently under there, and then I have a high pressure 3,000 psi hose that connects. It has a connector on it that screws onto the it has the perfect threading thing, and it has a built-in nylon gasket. These are all things you have to do when you're dealing with high pressure carbon dioxide, so you have no leaks. And then that hose goes along and screws in underneath this thing where you pull down the lever and carbonate your water. Anyways, the hose hasn't sprung a leak. It's been doing it for about 4 years, so I'm very careful with it. I have the hose coming up through a hole in my stainless steel sink where the sugar pump, the soap pump dispenser, which screws onto a hole, with the containers underneath, and you got the pumper dumper thing, that's above the sink. Well, I put that in a bag, a Ziploc bag, and put it under the sink, because when and if we move out of here, the stuff that's in Ziploc bags under the sink is owned by the building, and they can use those parts to put it back, if they want their, and I have stuff with their thermostat. I took off their thermostat and I put on my thermostat, my Nest thermostat. Magnificent little device. I can see it on my iPhone, what the temperature is. Yeah, let me show you that. That's pretty good. So I'm just going to type Nest on here, N-E-S-T. There's an icon. You see it, Nest. Top hit. There we go. Let's hit it. And it's using Face ID to identify me, hopefully. There we go. Look at that. And you can see I have a camera buried in some plants over on the window side of my apartment, and it's looking straight. You can see Yeah, you can see my front door on the right, and then there's two closed doors on the left, and I'm going to step away and I'm going to open. You can see my door open and close. Watch. There we go. You see? Open door. Yep, Jimmy's in here. Oh, wait a second. This thing fell down. Cables that I need to, that just fell off. All right. So that's, so I'm inside, those closed doors, which I left open about an inch so the cats can get in, because otherwise they'll be scratching on the door. Why has Jimmy locked himself in in his studio? My little suite of equipment. Yeah. And you can see on here, on my home, see it says home, RPP. Whoops, no, just switched. Outside temperature 65 degrees, partly. Yep. Apartment 812. Yep. And the thermostat, see it's blue, which means that it is running, because the temperature inside the living room. Yeah, so it's cooling my thermostat, so it turns blue when the air conditioner is on, and it's presently 71 degrees, I guess, or it's 72 on its way to 71. I think it's about done. But the most important things, I can't sway this over. Can't see it on that one either. All right, well, I have a thermostat in the I have a little, it's about this it's about this size of these iPod thingies, but it's round, and it's about that thick, high. Let's say high, but this is, the iPod container is rectangular. Just imagine this round. You bring up these two surfaces and round it off. That's the size of this doodad, which cost about $30. And I have it in my bedroom. I call it master bedroom, and it's 71 degrees in the master bedroom. I have another one of those things in the dresser drawers in the guest room, and it's 69 degrees in our second bedroom. I put one of those in a jar, a plastic jar, and put it in the freezer, buried it in the freezer. And it's minus 6 degrees in the freezer. How about that? Instead of having thermostats all over the place, I figured, what? I got 2 extra of these things, because it was like buy 4, or buy 3, get 1 free, one of those deals. So I ended up with 4 of these things. And it's a 2-bedroom apartment, so I have, I had one in the living room and one in each bedroom, and then, I had them, who cares what the living room is? It ought to be, the same as the thermostat temperature. So anyway, the freezer is minus 6, and the refrigerator is 38. So the 2 extra ones, one in the refrigerator, one in the freezer. So I can actually see, you ever wonder what the temperature is in your freezer? So you stick a thermostat in there, some thermometer, and it gets frosted over after about 2 weeks, and you can't see what it says. And if you pull it out, then it's not going to say what it is, because it's not in the freezer anymore. So I put one of these things in a plastic container, it's about that high, and closed it up and buried it in the freezer, and it's minus 6. And I have one of those, deep in the refrigerator side, deep in the back of one of the middle shelves, in a plastic container. So that way when you open a refrigerator, the actual temperature of all the ambient air that's in the container doesn't get it doesn't get warm when you open up the refrigerator or the freezer. So that way, that temperature would be relatively more constant than if it wasn't in this container that I put it in. It's just, I was a physics student. I had to learn all about physics, so I know about physics. So I sealed up that thermometer in a plastic container. We'd put 2 handfuls of peas in that container. It's not a huge container. It's probably something about this big in diameter, the size of a roll of tape. It stands about that high. And inside of there, I got this little thing that, remember, you're pretending that's round. And it goes up about this high. Yeah. That's the size of the plastic container, which holds my thermostat dot. Thermostat dot. Yeah. All right. So now you know about my Nest home thermostat. It holds, I don't know if there's a limit on how many temperature sensors you can have, so you could put this in a pretty big place. But a pretty big place, you'd probably have 2 Nest thermostats, for the north wing and the south wing of your extensive estate home. Yeah. Anyway, so that's Nest. Just wanted you to know I got one in each side of the refrigerator freezer. I've got one in my master bedroom, and I got one in the guest bedroom. And the thermostat itself is giving us the temperature in the living room, dining room, great room kind of an arrangement here. And because I have, let's see, can we see that here? No, it's out of range. Here, I'll turn the camera for a second. See down here, with my fingers pointing, it's 76.6 outside, relative humidity 40%. And the temperature inside this studio, because this sensor is in this thingy, the outside temperature is a temperature sensor stuck on the very top outside of our patio. So it's 76.8 out there. It's not in the sun. 68.9 in this little studio schmudio, and it's a 46% relative humidity. Yep, that's what shows right down here. And my on-air sign is there, which you can see. There we go. I'm moving all this stuff out of the way. I'm rotating my boom mic so you can see what's going on. I'm going to move this back right here so you can see my elapsed time. And we're going to pull this camera back here so we can see the time of day. It's 9:15 a.m. That's not too late. Come on, guys. You can have another cup of coffee. Yeah, why not? And, yeah. So I'm going to go to photos. So I'm circling back to Ozempic. Now, Ozempic, about 12 years ago, was designed and submitted to the FDA, maybe even longer ago, maybe 12 years ago, 14 years ago, to FDA. They approved it, for release. They had, thousands of patients, when it was in beta form, tested Ozempic, and it's designed for weight loss. So I get a phone call into my iPad here, if you're wondering what that was. These robocalls, they call my iPads, they call my phone. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, Ozempic was designed for diabetic patients that have, an A1C, that could have been, at one point, my A1C is 11.4. Now, that's not good. That's like twice what it should be. Whatever 11.4 means, your A1C. That's the average. It's a value that they attach to the average of your blood sugars, that have been taken over the last, that have been, that's your blood system. Your blood somehow or other remembers. There's probably some kind of an enzyme or this and that. There's a lot of stuff we don't exactly know how we know. How does our body tell the A1C folks? Remember, there are all these little agencies within your body. How does the A1C, how did they get their information over the last 90 days? And where are they storing it? Somehow or other, that's in our bodies, because I'm not typing it in. I don't know anyone else that's typing it in. I am not Robbie Robot, but somehow or other your body knows what your average blood sugar has been over the last 90 days, and that figure is submitted into when you do a blood test. And anyway, my A1C, which they can tell from your blood sugar, is 11.4. Well, that's not acceptable, because if you leave it, 11, a lot of people don't know they're diabetic. It doesn't slap you in the face. I guess you could fall over. If your blood sugar got so crazy, you would faint because you have too much sugar, or you faint because you don't have enough sugar. It's got to be just right. It's kind of like baking a pumpkin pie. It's got to be just right. You got to leave it in that oven about 45 minutes. And if you do 50 minutes, it gets a little too brown on top. And if you take it out too soon, it remains soupy in the middle because the mixture hasn't properly coagulated or to make that nice pumpkin custard. So with my 9.5 inch porcelain pie dishes, I'm in charge of pumpkin pies, in case you didn't know. So on holidays, I make pumpkin pies all over the place, starting right when there's pumpkin. Even though you buy the cats, dogs, they love the pumpkin you buy in a can for making pumpkin pies. It's strained and I've tasted it. It's a nice little sweet pumpkin taste. But cats and dogs will suck it down. They'll inhale it. Yes, they love it. So when I open the pumpkin pie thing, the top of the can has some pumpkin on it. I place it down there, and the two cats compete on who's going to lick the top of the can. And then in another container, I take a tablespoon, throw it in another thing, and then the cat will lick it down. Dogs love it. Oh my God. They'll eat it off a carpet. Yeah. Amazing. Anyway, so the precision of making a pumpkin pie, we have A1C. My A1C is 11.4. And during holiday seasons, there's a lot of sugar in a pumpkin pie, by the way, which gets dissolved and then solidified within the custard. I guess I'd call it a pumpkin custard of sorts. Yeah. It's not a vanilla custard, it's a pumpkin custard. Yeah, pumpkin there. Do you have? I don't think there's milk in pumpkin pie. I'm thinking about the ingredients. There's a couple of eggs. Anyway, I don't think there's milk in it. There's, I think, it has sugar, it has some, I'd have to get the pumpkin recipe. Anyway, my point is that during the holiday quarter, the fourth quarter of the year, one might be ingesting too much sugar, and your blood sugar goes up. Well, if you don't have any devices, if you're not poking your finger, and you're not sticking it on the little piece of white tape or something or other, and you stick it in something else, and it tells you what your blood sugar is, like 100, 140, 240, it could be, if your blood sugar runs up and stays high for a long time, they start amputating things. Your circulation will deteriorate, your foot will die. I mean, really, because your lower extremities, things start to seal up, and it doesn't feed your foot tissue. So they say, well, Mr. Wilson, your foot smells like gangrene. Looks like your foot died. What? Well, wake it up. Yeah, no, we got to cut it off. It's like a dead branch on the tree. So now you have 1 foot and 1 stubby leg. And if you don't take care of your blood sugar, the other foot will die. And you can't wake it up. Like a dead branch, they cut it off. So now you don't have any feet. So now you've got... now you're straddled either on a wheelchair or crutches, which makes it hard to carry things when you don't have a third arm. Another reason for Robbie the Robot. No, we want to keep our feet alive. And anyway, so if you keep your blood sugar down there between, let's say, 95 on the Richter scale to like 155, somewhere in that 60-point range, you can actually go to 180 and it's safe. I have a scale on my phone, and it goes from like 75 to 175. So you've got about a 100-point range with your blood sugar. I had this little thing that you put on the back of your arm, made by Abbott Laboratories, which actually takes your blood sugar readings every 5 minutes, and it plots it on a chart. It's an iPhone, iPad application, and you can actually give the passwords, out to your family members. So, my Daniel, my youngest son, down here, and Marilyn can see my blood sugar. I'll probably sign up Robin up in Washington, and then she can see my blood sugar going up and down as I eat meals, don't eat meals. But the magic of Ozempic, instead of the chart going up and down, I used to have to take 7 units of insulin, right before a meal, every meal, 30 minutes before a meal. I have to load the injector pen thing to 5 units. But you have to purge the needle, and that uses up 2 minutes. So you end up, using 7 units of insulin every time you take an injection with these pens. Because with the pharmacist and with the doctor, the doctor doesn't use the pens, he just sees them. Hey, that's nice. Well, like when you do the hypodermic needle, when you pull insulin out of a little cylindrical bottle that has a rubber cap on it, and they puncture the rubber and all that stuff. They pull out, 100 units of insulin. I'm making this up. And then they have to squirt a little bit to get the air out of the needle. Right? The air bubbles out. You don't want to inject air into your system because, So you squeeze the hypodermic needle a little bit so that it squirts a little bit. So you lose 2 units worth of insulin with the pen because you have to purge the needle that you screw on the top of it. Every time you use the pen, you replace the needle. Yeah, because when you use the needle, then you pull it back out. So now it's not sterile anymore. It's got your cooties all over it. So, not that you're sharing needles, but it's only once a week. So you want to make sure that, use a fresh, sterile needle every time you use the Ozempic. And that's what this thing is. This story is actually, what natural ways can you do this without using Ozempic? Well, why the hell would you not want to use it? If you got, if you're past 65 and you need to do your blood tests every day or every, 6 hours or something, and you're sticking needles in your finger and then taking a blood drop and putting it on this, and you put that in there, and you finally get your blood. Well, if you get, Abbott Laboratories Freestyle, listen to me, Freestyle Libre, the number 3. Freestyle Libre, number 3. That's the little thing that you stick on the fatty part of the under part of your arm, either arm, or on a fatty part of your thigh, because that's safe from you banging on it. And it takes your blood sugar every 5 minutes, which you don't need your blood sugar every 5 minutes, but it makes for nice graphic presentations because they have some graphics software built into the Freestyle Libre application. Of course, there's an application which you load into your phone, and but the Ozempic flattens out your blood sugar. It's a beautiful wavy line in the middle of the green zone, and you don't have to take a shot before each meal. I haven't used insulin since January of last year when I started on Ozempic, because Ozempic takes care of your blood sugar. I mean, it's magical. It is quite a magical thing. Many insurance policies cover it for you. If you have an Advantage plan, if you have a supplemental, it covers it for sure. But if you have an Advantage plan, depending on whose plan, I can tell you that Cigna will decline you with Ozempic. They don't care if you're standing at the top of a building and ready to jump off because the blood sugar is making you crazy. They will not cover you. So that $1,200 pen thing that you get from Novo Nordisk in Norway, can you believe it? They invented this thing in frickin' Norway. Jeez. Go figure. Guess they got a lot of blood sugar issues in Norway. It's a pharmaceutical company. That's the only way to put it. They designed the pen, they designed the plastic, they designed the injector, they engineered and designed the needle that screws on the front of it. The pen is preloaded with, I think, 300 units. Let's see, we're on Ozempic the cylinder that's in the pen, and it's a single pen that lasts you the whole month. And you screw the top of the pen to where it's, I'm on 2 milligrams a week. So you screw it till the number 2 comes up, you rotate the dial, it takes about 4 or 5 turns, and then it stops by itself. And in a little window, you see the number 2, because I'm taking 2 milligrams a week. And you have a 1/4-inch needle, fresh needle every time you use it, because you screwed it on the front end of your the pen. It comes with 4 needles. The kit does. You got the pen fully loaded. It has to be refrigerated. Inside the container is 4 fresh needles, all sealed up, and so that each needle is hermetically sealed, so that remains sterile. You peel off the top of the needle thing, you screw it on the front of the hypodermic pen, and you stick yourself in a fatty area of your belly. You just stick it in. You push it in as far as you can, which is only a 1/4 inch. So you're just injecting the semaglutide, which is Ozempic. The chemical name is semaglutide, S-E-M-A glutide, G-L-U-T-I-D-E, semaglutide. In a compounding store, you can get it for about $175 a month. No insurance. If you have insurance, they'll charge you like $50 copay until they spent $5 in your behalf. So for the first 5 months using Ozempic, so January, February, March, April, May, the insurance covers, a huge percentage of the cost. Because I think the pen, if you bought it over the counter, is like $1,200. So your copay is $50. That means they pay $11.50. That's the balance that I like. And it basically comes out of your Medicare insurance, and with your copay. Okay, if you have an Advantage plan, it's the insurance company is sharing the administration of the policy, so they get paid. AARP, United Healthcare, gets a piece of the Medicare contribution because you and United Healthcare and Medicare are taking care of the distribution of Ozempic to you or any other drug. That's what the Advantage plan means. The insurance company is sharing some of the premium value of Medicare. That's how they get paid. The agent gets a piece of the action because they get a fee for signing you up with United Healthcare. And I have a great agent, by the way. Nice gentleman. That's over in Fort Myers. Just gonna let your fingers do the walking. His name is David Turner. Anyone's interested, get a hold of me. I'll put his phone number up there. I'll give him some free advertising. I used him, and boy, he's anyway. So now I'm done with Ozempic. And the ancillary benefit of using Ozempic to manage your blood sugar is you end up losing some weight. 20, 30, 40 pounds. It's unbelievable. And your weight kind of balances out to some, you don't keep losing weight until you disappear. I'm about 160, 65 pounds for 5'8", elderly gentleman that I am. And it's good. And I was using insulin for a couple of years. I read about Ozempic. I said, let me try that. So in my 2 years ago at my annual physical on January 7th of 2024 or 3, I said, Dr. Lubin, how about Ozempic? So it seems to me I've been reading that people really can relax with their insulin injections unless they need it. For some reason or other, if you're on Ozempic and your blood sugar, spikes after you have a bowl of rice, you can still give yourself insulin. Just stick it in your other side of your belly. They don't want you to mix it. Anyway, the needles are very short. They're only about 4 millimeters, 5 millimeters long, which is about a 1/4 inch. No wider than my pinky finger here. No deeper than the width of my pinky finger. Here's a pen. Here's a regular ballpoint pen. Yeah. So that's how deep it goes. Not the length of the pen. This dimension right here. So the diameter of this pen, we know what that means, is that's about 5 millimeters on the Richter scale. So if you're looking at the length of the pen, it's no deeper than that. Yeah, which is, you can see a ballpoint pen here. See that? I'm coming back and yeah. So you just stick it in the fatty part of your tissue. It's called subcutaneous. You are taking subcutaneous. That's the, if you have to learn these words in medical school. Subcutaneous. You were James, are you taking subcutaneous injections of Ozempic? The answer to that is yes. Answer with a 3-letter word after he just slammed you up with all those vowels and consonants. Yeah. Oh my God, subcutaneous. That means under the skin. Intravascular. If you're injecting it into your muscles. Yeah, no. This is subcutaneous. We're not injecting it into the muscles like some virus medicines. Most all viruses are injected in your muscle tissue because there's a lot more blood circulation activity going on in your muscle tissue, and it locks up that vaccine, in a tighter little pouch than if you just scatter it all over your fatty tissue that's underneath your belly. Anyway, this stuff was designed to be injected subcutaneously under your skin with a short needle, 4 to 6 millimeters. Matter of fact, I got some. I got some because I'm switching insurance companies, so we got a monthly usage of that using a compounding pharmacy, which they make special mixtures that may not be available, commercially. And they have kits. Skip's Pharmacy over here in Boca Raton, or let's see, what is it? It's just south of us, over the border, in Deerfield Beach. Okay. Skips, like SKIP apostrophe S. Someone's nickname must be Skip. I don't know why. I don't know how they came up. I actually met the owner of Skip's Pharmacy. I should have asked him, so what's with Skip's? Is your nickname Skip? Can I call you Skip? Skippity-doo-dah? Anyway, so he showed us this kit and all this stuff, and apparently there was a shortage of Ozempic, so the FDA permitted the use. It permitted compounding pharmacies to deliver Ozempic because there was not a reasonable channel available of this stuff, all over the world. So the FDA in the United States permitted compounding pharmacies to dispense the popular drug known as Ozempic, designed for weight loss. But there's at least two ancillary benefits to Ozempic. Number one, you're going to end up losing about, if you're 20 pounds overweight, you're going to lose that 20 pounds. If you're 50 pounds overweight, you're going to lose the 50 pounds. Because your weight will stabilize at some number. Because I got down to about 165 over a year period. It dropped like the 20 pounds I was overweight, or 30 pounds I was overweight, and within 5 or 6 months that weight was gone. And now I was stable. I'm continuing to use it because I'm still using it, right? And my weight has settled down to about 63 pounds, 65 pounds. I would have to, and I'm just eating away normally. I don't feel like I'm dieting. I do notice using Ozempic once a week, subcutaneous, self-done, so you have to learn how to give yourself a little poke in the belly. It's no big deal. The needles are 32 gauge needles. They're so fine, they're finer than the injector of a mosquito. And you feel a mosquito bite because the injector is from a live animal, and it has live animal saliva on it, and it's itchy. But anyway, the needle is like half the diameter of a mosquito needle on the top of its head. It sticks in your arm or your leg or your back or something. I get itchy just thinking about it. Yeah. So it's the diameter of 2 human hairs. The needle is extremely fine, and you just poke yourself with it. You push the top of the pen until it makes a couple of clicks. You count to 5, and you pull the needle out, and you're done. Then you unscrew that little needle, and you put it in a cap on it, and dispose of it appropriately. They have a little container for needles. You can, wrap it up in a paper towel and throw it in the trash, Bend the needle so bad guys can't use it. I don't think any bad guys is going to rummage through my trash, but quite frankly, I wrap it up in a half a paper towel, squeeze it tight, throw it in the trash. That is the not appropriate way of disposing of medical needles. You could put it in a baggie, and just, when you go to your doctor's office, you can dispose it, and they're disposable because they have bags of disposable stuff all the time. That'd probably be if you're really conscious about disposing the needle appropriately, just put it in a baggie, and the next time you go see your doctor in his office, bring those little baggies with you, and when you're walking down the hallway to get to your doctor, put it in their trash can because they dispense with, they deal with dispensing hypodermic noodles all the time. I call it a hypodermic noodle instead of a hypodermic needle. So when you've had a couple of cocktails, you say, Marilyn, when you give me that hypodermic noodle? Yes, sir. 9:43 a.m. it is. You can see it right up there in our clock. And I've been on the air an hour and 7 minutes and 14 seconds. So one of the ancillary benefits of, Ozempic, is you tend to, if you're overweight, you're going to tend to lose, some weight. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Weight loss, yeah. What's the other ancillary benefit? Well, weight loss. I have to tell you, because I don't have a slide for that. This story was actually for something else. 25% of all the patients that they tested over a period of time of the sample period when they're going in front of the FDA looking for approval is there's like a prevention of major cardiovascular events. There's a reduction in major cardiovascular events. What is a cardiovascular event, you might say? How about heart attack? That's the most major of cardiovascular event. Yes, another major cardiovascular event. Hello? Cardio means heart. Vascular means, your entire blood circulatory system. All your veins and arteries. Cardiovascular. Yeah, cardio hyphen vascular events. I think they attach the words together because cardio and vascular, is one big word. That means cardio and vascular. So what's the So the cardio thing is it kind of prevents or discourages heart attacks. Well, that's a pretty nice ancillary thing when you're just taking a drug weekly, subcutaneous injections. How about, I'm using all the big words now. One of the big ones is weight loss. The second big one is it suppresses major cardiovascular events. So we're going to break that down, that cardiovascular, into A and B. Cardio means it prevents heart attacks, but they don't actually use the word prevents because it doesn't prevent it for everybody, but 25% of the users have found that their cardiovascular events have almost shrunk to zero. Okay, so there's something about semaglutide in very low concentrations when it is in your system that people don't get. 25% of everybody that was sampling using this drug did not get heart attacks, which is way below, what, a 70-year-old person, 500 of the 10,000 should have had heart attacks. And guess what? They didn't. So they can say it seems to prevent major cardiovascular events. So we have A and B, right? A is cardio. So what's the vascular event that they're preventing? Aha, stroke. So when you take Ozempic, the sample patients, millions of them now, because the drug has been in circulation for 2 years of testing and like 12 years of use, and so after 10 years, let's just average, just cycle down on that. For sure, it's 10 years with millions, 10, 12, 15 million people experienced weight loss and a significant reduction in cardiovascular events. What a benefit. What a two-benefit thing. It's three benefits. Weight loss, cardio events, and vascular events like stroke. So, major reduction in cardio events, vascular events, and you end up losing weight to some stable number above whatever you're at. So in my case, I was like 194. Well, guess what? I'm now 164. I lost 30 pounds, over a 14-month period of time. I haven't really lost any more weight. So I'm stabilized at 150, 163, 164, depending on whether I had a glass of water or not, because your weight fluctuates as you imbibe things and you relieve yourself. You put stuff in the top end and it comes out the bottom end. Without I don't want to go into all those medical terms, please. How about that, though, for Ozempic? That's why it's so, as a matter of fact, there was such a huge, this weight loss thing, and you got all these fatties walking around, right? So doctors were, some of the doctors that don't follow their Hippocratic oath, and they're not following, the FDA policy on, you write it, a drug is designed for a primary purpose. You prescribe the drug for the primary purpose, even though there's a incredible weight loss component which is not the purpose. That's an ancillary benefit. You don't prescribe for ancillary benefits. It's actually not permitted under the medical, rules of order. You can be, your license can be suspended as an MD. How about that? It takes you 30 years to get the stupid license. And if you prescribe Ozempic for weight loss, which there are millions of doctors in the United States that have prescribed Ozempic for weight loss. So Novo Nordisk, over the 12 years, noticed that, and they say, we got a winner here, so let's rebrand. So we're going to leave Ozempic alone, and we'll keep supplying Ozempic. Let us take that semaglutide, put it in a different pen that has a different color, put it in a different box that has different printing on it, and let's call it Wegovy. You ever heard of Wegovy? That is also a Novo Nordisk branded product, and you take 2 milligrams of semaglutide once a week, with a 5 or 6 millimeter needle. It's gauge 32, which you can't feel. When you stick that in yourself, you don't even know you did it, other than the fact that you did it. You can't feel it. You cannot feel it. It slips right between your nerves. For like if you pinch your stomach, it hurts. Well, if you stick this Wegovy or this Ozempic injector pen, and when you stick that in your stomach, you do not feel the needle. I promise you. I do. Marilyn doesn't like to do it herself. So I'm Dr. Jim. I'm the pretend Dr. Jim, and I give Marilyn her weekly injections of semaglutide. And it's really, she's a Native American Indian, and Indians always have, not always, but a large majority of the Indian population have blood sugar issues, and they have weight issues. You know, you see a lot of overweight Indians parading around when they have their powwows. Every once in a while, you come across a really beautiful one like Marilyn. You would never know she was. When I looked at her when we first started dating, when she was 27 and I was 33, and I looked. So we're dating, right? I mean, she was in the bank. She was an officer of the international department. I'm an officer of the real estate department. We're in two separate buildings, two different departments, two different bosses. You know, we don't fund each other's things. You know, so we're two different. You know, I just saw her walk back and forth in the buildings, between the buildings, because she delivered some packages. You know, loan packet files. She would deliver files to Jerry Gilliam, and his office was all the way down the other end of the fourth floor that I was officed in. So every once in a while, I'd see this lady go back and forth, and it's Marilyn. And I asked somebody, so who's this always walking on? Her name is Marilyn Reed. And I said, all right. So, I mean, I never said hello to her because I was never standing up when she walked by. I was always in my office doing or out of my office, you know, doing what I'm supposed to do. But my coworker, Tony Romeo, he knew her because when she would come by, he would pop out of his office and say hi. You know, he was a ladies man, if you will, and happily married ladies man. But he always liked to say hi to the pretty ladies. You know, if there was some bimbo that walked by, no, he wouldn't walk out. I mean, it's terrible. You know, men are disgusting pigs. Yeah, they always say hello to the pretty ones. Yeah, the fatties, nah, let them walk by. I can't get my arms around her. I'm not interested. But not that Tony Romeo had any sights of that. He was just a nice fellow, and she was a nice lady. Beautiful one, I must say. If you're, you know, available, which I wasn't. I was married and, you know, so forth. But it was a time when I was not married. So, being a not married person, well, actually, I still never walked around and, you know, said hello to the pretty ladies going in and out of the elevator, whether they were delivering packages to our chairman's office or not, you know. But I was in a training seminar. Some of you have heard this story. I'll do it really fast, since we're talking about Marilyn and pretty ladies. So how did I get to know her? We've been married now we've been together for 45 years. Ouch. We've given our lives to each other for 45 years. In the early years, my God, it was exciting. We did every damn thing. And we traveled, we skied, we glacier skied over in Europe. We skied in Colorado and the upper hills of California, and oh my God, we roller skated all over the place. Phew. Anyway, so how is it that I unchained myself, or I became available? Let's put it that way. Well, my wife was fooling around with a history teacher. So I won't go. There's a whole story on how I found that out. It's really quite interesting. I'll do it another time. Anyway, so I found out. I approached her, and I said, hey, are you fooling around with the history teacher? So I looked her square in the eye, and she didn't have the guts to lie to me. Because when I look you straight in the eye, you know, I have Russian roots in me. And apparently that piercing stare, and she's, you know, had, you know, 10 years of experience of my Russian stare as a 32-year-old. And she wiggled and wormed, and I said, well, this is how I found out, you know. And so she didn't deny it. I'll put it that way. I don't remember her saying, yes, I'm playing with the history teacher. No, she just didn't deny it. Well, the absence of a denial when I took a class in logic, can you believe it? the absence of a denial could be considered the affirmative. So that's what I did. I said, no denial equals I'm fooling with the history teacher. Oh boy. So, and she kept fooling with the history teacher. I thought she was taking night classes at FAU. Oh yeah, she was taking night classes, all right, with the history teacher. But they never made it to class. Yeah, that was a big lie. So for 3 or 4 months, I think she's in the great quest of knowledge so she can get her master's degree or whatever. Or she may have already had a master's degree. She was going for another degree or something. Nope, she was fooling with the history teacher. That's so disgusting. Imagine she's out there having cocktails with the history teacher. I'm home taking care of the cats. Oh, god damn. So anyway, so I became unmarried, and coincidentally, totally coincidentally, not because of each other, she had just finished up with a divorce, and I just finished up with a divorce. How nuts is that? So that's just to just keep that in the back pocket. Anyway, so my boss came to me in the 1st of January, or the holiday weekend, at the bank. I don't know if it was the week between Christmas. No, it had to be like the 1st of January, or 2nd, 3rd, whenever the Monday was. He calls me into his office. Bob Curtis calls me in his office and says, Jimmy, I got good news for you. I said, marvelous. What's the good news? You're going to be teaching all of the finest employees we have in the bank statewide. I said, oh, really? Yeah, he said, yeah, they're 40 people. They're flying in to the Sheraton Rivergate Hotel, the airport hotel in Miami. I was working in Miami. Living in Coral Springs, working in Miami. 1 hour drive each way. Anyway, so I'm used to driving to Miami every day, right? So it's no big deal. So you're going to be teaching this class, and we are picking 40 of the best people we have all across the state of Florida. Their bosses picked a person. You pick one of your best people that is likely going to run the department or run some other department, 8 or 10 years from now. That person we want in our training in Miami for a week. And we're going to fly them into Miami. We're going to keep them all locked up in the Sheraton Rivergate Hotel. We're going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner together, these 40 students, and 8 facilitators. And there'll be several evenings where we take the crowd out to, out at night so they can have some fun at night. Like 3 nights, every other night. So 3 nights out of the week, we'll take the crowd out to some place we'll reserve, or not reserve, just tell establishments, hey, we're gonna come over with 50 people. So we'll get over there at like 5:30. Can you just let us all walk in at once? And they found 3 venues to do that. I forget what they were. I don't think I did it. I don't think I went to any of those evening things. I was too, cranky with my divorce stuff. Yeah, a little cranky. Not terrible, but cranky nonetheless. So anyway, my boss says, you're going to be one of the facilitators. There's 7 others. I think there was 7 or 8 facilitators. With, in other words, teacher, whatever. You're in front of the class, and everybody else is on the other side of the desk. Yeah. But, they were changing the vocabulary words of things like that. So we were facilitators. Facilitating the discussion of what you're teaching them. Or showing them, or what, because it was probably the beginning of the WOC society. You couldn't call yourself a teacher because then you're like putting yourself above them. And God forbid that would happen. Who cares? I didn't think I was above them anyway. So we're going to use the word facilitator for the 7 of you. And I promised, I said, Bob, please, I don't want to do that. Can you imagine? I just went through a real, all divorces are terrible. And this is, my wife was fooling around with the history teacher, okay? I couldn't stand it. I had to get divorced. I couldn't stand it. It would take me, decades to get over it. How do you get over that? You never trust any, God. Bob, please, no. No, please. So I begged Bob not to have me do it. He said, nope, you're doing it. I already told Bob, you're such a, a get-along ski. You always, what do you call it? You're so cooperative. I sure thought, thought surely you would approve this, and I'm really surprised that you. I said, it's only because there's divorce. I said, Bob, you didn't even know about that, right? He said, no, I didn't. Well, I said, for like 4 or 5 months, this was really, he says, you really keep this stuff in pretty good because I had no clue. I said, well, now you know. And it's all done. It's over. But, it took 4 months to, face up to the problem. And then finally, you got to meet with your own attorney. And, which I wasn't a problem because I knew one for 20 years that I used. And I called Dan Pescio and I said, hey, I need a divorce. Now. Put everything down and do my divorce. It's in Broward County. Whatever the fastest way to get a divorce from someone you've been married to for 10 years, make it happen. I want documents to sign. I want documents for her to sign. And, if we need witnesses or notaries or whatever, just tell me exactly how to sign up, what I need to sign up to submit to the court. I want divorce now. No, this is like 45 years ago. It's a little harder to get a divorce today. They really put you through a 1-year inspection period, and they get all this crap to make sure that you don't get divorced unless you really mean it. I said, well, they didn't have those things in place 45 years ago, apparently, in Broward County, Florida. So it took me 30 days from finish to end, from beginning to end, let's say that right, from the day I called Dan Pescio to the day with the divorce, it was 4 weeks. And I made it happen fast. So I got a property settlement agreement. I gave her 75% of everything. How do you not? There are 4 of us. I said, there are 3 of you and 1 of me. So you get 75% of the assets. I get 25% of the assets. I should have changed that around a little bit, but it just worked out with all the cash and the assets and stuff. So I ended up with the house in Coral Springs, and kept, I'm going to say 10 or 15,000 in cash. And I said, Steele, you got 75% of everything, which was mostly cash. And I said, I'll buy you a new car so you can get rid of what the hell you're driving. And so I got her a new station wagon, something or other. They didn't have SUVs 45 years ago, I don't think. And I said, how about a Toyota, the highest end Toyota station wagon? She said, fine. I said, well, I happen to know the general manager of the Toyota division in Miami. It's a big, dealership in Miami. I'm pretty sure I don't think it was Honda. I think it was Toyota, yeah. Lexus, Toyota, whatever. You want a Lexus or a Toyota? Right, anyway, so she said Toyota's fine. She's a practical woman. So I, brand new one, paid cash for it, had it titled in her name only. And I said, so here's the keys to the car. Your car is 100% yours, no lien. Here's the title, the papers, the certificate. Here's your license plate that's attached. Here's your registry. So here's that, that is that. I said, have a nice life. So I said goodbye to the kids. That was really the hardest part. They were like 8 and 7 and 10, something like that. 8 and 11, 7 and 10. That That took a few days to do that. I'm not passing lightly on that one, or any of it actually. So anyway, I'm divorced. I'm taking this. I'm a facilitator. There were 7 others. I had like a half day. It was like the morning of Thursday. I had a topic, and I don't know what the topic was. Oddly enough, I actually don't remember the topic. I usually have pretty good memory for all these things, but cannot think of the topic. There was like 8 topics, a morning and an afternoon class over the 4 days. So 2 times 4 is 8. Because Monday was was like a group. Let's say Monday through Friday. So it started on Monday, but on Friday, that was only a half a day of classes, and then the second half of the day was handing out certificates and a cocktail dinner party kind of a thing, celebrating their graduation from this executive training. They called it. I mean, it was really a big deal. It cost the holding company a lot of money. When you fly, 40 plane tickets. How about that? You've got people staying in nice rooms in a very nice airport hotel in Miami, which is not exactly, Pahokee. So you had top rates. It was in January. It was in February, actually. It was for a week. The 3rd week in February. It was February 22nd. That's when I met Marilyn. Can you believe it? She had to go to the class too, and she begged her boss not to go because she was going through a divorce. It's funny. I didn't even know. I saw her floating around the bank over a number of years, but I didn't know anything about whether she's going through a divorce or any of that crap. Nor did she, with myself. I did my work. I was not interested in fooling around with the girls whatsoever. I was married, happily married, I thought. My neighbors said, I never liked Marilyn. Now you tell me. Your good friends never tell you. Boy, she's a pain. Yeah. Paul Snyder said, I didn't really like your wife. I said, are you shitting me? Why didn't you tell me? How do you tell one of your friends I don't like your wife? I thought everybody liked Marilyn. Or, excuse me, Steele, her name was. Steele. Steele, yeah. She had a soul of steel. Oh, God. A family name, a nice family. Doctor. My father-in-law was a doctor. William Hill. Hill. So her name was Steele Hill. Yep. Iron Mountain, Steele Hill. Oh, God. Fooling around with the history teacher. So, anyway, I'm facilitating. And when you're not doing your class, you kind of helped, sat in the back of the room. You did what you were doing something for the days you weren't facilitating. You may have been co-facilitating, helping someone else. Where you had a facilitator and then you helped. You were like the teacher aide. How about that? They're all used. Grew up in the 70s or 80s. Teacher aides. I don't know what they have now. Teachers don't even teach anymore. I don't know what they do. The teachers' unions have become so strong, they have screwed up our educational system really bad across the whole country. It's not just the education department in Washington, which is also a waste. I just heard this morning, it was reported through the news agencies, that the Secretary of Education, or the proposed one, or, have they confirmed the Secretary of Education? I think they have. They beat her up and they confirmed. I think everybody's confirmed except for the UN representative, because she's actually a congresswoman up in the state of New York, and they don't want her to resign yet because the balance of power in the House is so close to, a couple of votes. He said, really, Stefanik, you need to wait. We need to wait for you. We'd love to throw you in the UN, but you know what? We need you in the Congress because there's only a couple of votes, and I don't know if we're going to... We only have a 2-vote margin or a 3-vote margin. So if you take that role, then we don't have a 2-vote margin. If someone's sick, we lose and we got tax things we got to put through, and we have the whole Trump agenda. So please, just stay put. When as soon as we get the tax bill done and we get a few things done, first 90 days, 60 days, whatever, I just got to get through some things in Congress, and I need your vote in Congress. I can't lose you as a congressperson. So she said, all right, yeah, look, I'm for you, buddy. So, so how did I meet Marilyn? So I'm circling back to that. So I trained. This is the short version. Can you believe it? Sorry to say. Some of you have heard it already, but just sip your coffee and be patient. We'll get on to something, your sports dialogue in a minute. I've only been on this subject for 11 minutes, so give me a break. Anyway, so the Sheraton Rivergate Hotel, they took up the whole thing. There's 40 of them. There are like 8 of us, plus 2 more that were in HR or something or other. So there are like 10 of us organizing the training for 40. And there was a period of time, like a half a week before everyone flew in, where the 10 of us would meet in a conference room, and they sent down, some criteria. It's a big holding company, right? A $35 billion holding company that owned our bank and 44 banks in the United States. How about that? So it was a big, their headquarters is in Canada. And anyway, so we put together this, we had to put the plan together, but they gave us, they sent us a half inch of paper that had all kinds of training stuff in it. They had a similar training thing, in Canada, held in Toronto, I believe. The headquarters of Royal Trustco was in Montreal. And today it's Royal Bank of Canada, So, where's Jimmy's 30 years of banking? Royal Bank of Canada, RBC. And as a matter of fact, someone said in Montreal, they know my name. Of the craziest damn things. They know Bob Curtis's name, and they know mine. And I don't remember if they recall Tony Romeo's name. But I remember talking to, Pat Holmes. He was like an executive VP of our holding company, in Florida. He was on the 4th floor, down where Jerry Gilliam sits then. But Pat Holmes had that desk before Jerry Gilliam did. He was like a bank president of running a few banks up in Jacksonville area, and that's where he came from. And he became one of the Royal Trust banks up there. So he ran 3 or 4 banks up there, and they had people running banks down here, and they were peppered all over Florida, mostly in the high population areas. 34 banks in Florida, and they picked 40 people to put them in the training. Montreal sent down, stuff, and then we, scanned through it and created 8 sessions with this stuff that the holding company, the Canadian company, remember, it's a big company, so it had, this stuff was all very well done that they sent down to us. It's not like we were crawling on our hands and knees trying to figure out what we're going to do with these 40 people. No, we knew exactly what we had to do with these 40 people. We just had to separate what they sent us into 8 piles of paper. And I had, session 7 of the 8. Going morning, afternoon, 4 days, 8 sessions. I was I was the bottom. I was the bottom half of the seventh inning. I was the bottom half of Thursday. I was Thursday. No, I don't know. I was the Thursday morning session. Like 8 to 9 to noon, if you will. 3 or 4 hours on the morning of Thursday. Someone else had the afternoon session, which is like 1:30 to 5:30. 4 hours. There were 4 hours, 8 4-hour sessions. Okay, I don't remember the start and stop times exactly. Anyway, so we did that. I actually did not know Marilyn was in that class. There are 40 of them, and when you're teaching, you don't. I don't know. I should have known. I don't actually remember seeing her in the class anywhere, and she did it. Her boss said, "You must do this. You just went through a divorce, and you're going to get out of here, and you're going to go do this thing because you are one of the best people that's in this building." And they were in another building, so you must go. And she appealed with that. McCluskey was his last name, that headed up International Department. She worked in there and was, in charge of Central and South America. About that for an assignment. Oh, he's in charge of a frickin' continent. I'm in charge of Dade County. She was in charge of Central and South America. She's on the phone with Venezuela. Back then, it was a wealthy country, and, they had huge banks in Venezuela. Marilyn was, the bank correspondent for Venezuela and a whole bunch of countries, Brazil and so forth, in Central and South America. It was still a little, Central America was still a little gamey, They had like, cartels or something. It was, but South America, there's some really wealthy countries in South America. Venezuela took a socialist turn, and today it's bust. Can you imagine? So that gives you an idea what socialism will do to a country. It'll completely destroy it. They have to. The only way communism works is if you eliminate democracy. You cannot have democracy. So you go from democracy to bureaucracy, which means it's a single party system, democracy in name only, which if Trump wasn't elected, we would have become a bureaucracy. And the states, they would have given the voting rights to all these illegals that came in, and all the swing states would not be swing states. They'd all be light blue states. So the Republicans would never get in office again. That'd be the end of it. So that's when a democracy turns into a bureaucracy. Bureaucratic bureaucracy. Democracy, you got a multi-party system. It can be 2 parties, 3 parties, however your country decides to organize itself. We were kind of like in a 2-party system for, our 200 years. There was a third-party candidate, but you really didn't have a big third-party national interest. It was, less than 15%. Even when Ross Perot was in there, he only got like 15-18% of the vote. So that means everybody else. When it's 15%, that means 85% is other things. That's certainly not a big percentage of your population, if you do the obverse of that. Anyway, so I had a half a session, and I'm trying to cycle back to meeting Marilyn. This is a short version, I said. So now, so what did we do on the second half of Friday? Well, you had lunch, a long lunch, nice celebratory lunch. So it was like a 2-hour lunch buffet, and then then you go back to your rooms, pack up your bags, call home, do personal time. So you had pretty much the second half of Friday off. However, at 4:30, you had to be at the Daphne Lounge, which is the ground floor lounge, big lounge area. The Rivergate Hotel was a very big, it's really, it was right at the airport, and the Daphne Lounge is a big lounge. Probably holds maybe 150 people in the lounge and the tables and everything. We were, like 65. We had 40 participants, use the right word, and 10 facilitators. So 40 plus 10 is 50. You had probably 5 or 10 dignitaries in the United States, and you had 6 or 8 people that flew in from Canada to sign and hand out these. The chairman of the frickin' bank, the whole shooting match, the whole $35 billion. He flew in on a separate airplane and signed and handed out all the diplomas to the 40 people. And the 10 of us, we got a hug. I don't know what we got. I don't remember getting any kind of diploma, but the kids, these are all adults. These participants got certificates of merit signed by the chairman of Royal Trust Bank Holding Company. He flew down from Montreal. Yep, signed all their papers. And so that took an hour of handing out diplomas to everybody, one by one. They'd march up, get their diploma, shake the hand with two or three at a reception line. You shake hands with 5 or 6 people that flew in from Canada, and the president of Royal Trust Bank of Miami, or the Royal. They probably had they had a holding company thing in Florida, and they had a holding company thing in Canada, because all 35 banks were owned by a holding company in the United States, in Miami. And Pat Holmes was one of the senior executives of that holding company. He was sent down from Canada to keep his eye on all of us. That's what Jerry Gilliam said. He said, "Oh yeah, he's watching over you guys." I said, "Okay, we're going to do it." Well, it's in the real estate. I did real estate loans, a bunch of them. None of them went bad. I had a good teacher, Dick Yace. Anyway, so when all the diplomas are being handed out, then they go back to their 4 top tables, or everyone was like in the tables area, and they had like a stage, where a band would play, but there wasn't any band playing because we took over the whole Daphne Lounge. It was not open to any of the travelers or any of the locals. We roped off the entire Daphne's Lounge. The hotel said, "Yep, okay, lounge is yours." So from 4 to midnight, the lounge is yours, or 4 to 11 or something like that. So they all came down at 4. They got their diplomas handed out by 5. They had conversations with the, all this congratulatory conversation and what the plans were for the holding, for Canada, the holding company, Florida, how we're going to grow more acquisitions. We grew by acquisitions. We, had one bank and ended up buying 34 more. So we had 35 banks. We kept on buying. So at one point, I was on the bank acquisition team. There were 6 of us that flew around the state looking to buy banks. We looked at big ones, we looked at little ones. So we had a team of 6. I was one of the 6. And every month or 2, we would, come up together and spend 8 days buying banks. We'd target a bank. We'd get the financial information from the bank. We'd meet with the CEO of the bank in late hours, like after 9 p.m. or something, so no one knew in the local city or any of the directors or anything. Because, the CEO wanted to know, hey, what you're interested in buying us? Okay, we may be interested in letting you tell us who you are. So we had these meetings with these CEOs. And they were, they started their bank in their 40s, and then 50s, 60s, now they're in their 70s. And, one of our pitch points is, we will monetize your stock. Because now you'll be shareholders in a public company instead of private shareholders in a private company. And now you have grandchildren, and there's not a convenient way of, distributing your ownership into, the benefit of your 5 grandchildren or whatever. But if you own shares, you own 700 shares or 900 shares, you could give 300 shares to each of your 3 grandchildren, and that's how you dispose of your bank that you worked your whole life on. Yep. So that was a big selling point, because a lot of the banks that we bought, they had ownership where they had run and owned the banks for 20, 30, 40 years. And their principals, grew older. They were in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So they're 75 years old, getting a little gray hair and saying, I think I've had enough of this bank stuff. Why don't I retire? Well, it's nice to retire when you turn over the keys to a friendly holding company, which we were. We kept all the presidents and that would stay. Some of them didn't want to stay. They wanted to retire too. But we were a very, in the bank acquisition world, which I became very knowledgeable of, we were a very friendly acquirer. Anyway, so circling back to meeting Marilyn. I'm sorry, this short version is now into 20 minutes, but sorry. Just pretend you're in the coffee shop and you're gently listening to me while you're sipping coffee, reading the paper. You're multiprocessing and listening to Jimmy. Because some of you have never heard this before, and some of you have heard it 6 times. So circling back to handing out the diplomas at Royal Trust, special meeting with all the CEOs and so afterwards, after all the ceremonial stuff, and cocktails and dinner, that was all taken care of too, because the Sheraton Rivergate had a very nice, kitchen and a menu, and it was all special menu stuff. We created the menu, and they bought the food to serve, 65 people. Good stuff, because the chairman was eating it, of a $35 billion company, and that was in the days, 45 years ago. So a billion was a billion, and today that billion is probably worth $5 billion. So we're like a $500 billion, half a $1 trillion bank, which is not the biggest thing in the world. It's probably half of Bank of America at the time. I don't know, maybe 50 years ago we were bigger than B of A. I don't actually know. Doesn't matter. Southeast Bank was like 11 billion. How about that? 10 billion. And Royal Trustco was 35 billion. So we're 3 times the size of Southeast Bank. 3 times the size of Barnett Bank, because the 2 of them were about equal sized when I was, when I met Marilyn. Okay, so at 7:30, that was the end of the ceremonies and dinner, and then you just stayed in the Daphne Lounge until your plane reservations. With Mr. His flight to Jacksonville, please go to the bus, the passenger bus, private bus, the airline bus, to take you to the Jacksonville terminal. So it was all, Tampa people, please. So during the time from 7:30, 8:30, that hour, they tried to coordinate it. They did a good job. Almost everybody in a couple of hour period got on their trams or buses to go to their terminals. And we had a special person that did nothing but coordinate that to make sure they didn't miss their plane. And we knew their gate number, and they had all these people on a list, so I knew exactly what's coming up. They sorted the list, by flight times for Friday afternoon, evening, I should say. And they all, they all flew out. No one missed their flights. And, so a group of 65 people became 55 people, 45 people, 50, so the group kept on contracting, even though we had the whole lounge roped off, with those ropes that you see in theaters, the red ropes with stanchions. It was all roped off. No public could go in there. It was a private party for Royal Trustco Bank. And, from up until like 11 p.m., I'd say. So it was probably 4 to 11. We had the whole thing, the whole shooting match, in a very popular hotel. Very nice kitchen. Boy, they could cook anything in there. Big kitchen, because people got room service, or 5,000 room hotel. I don't know how many rooms it is. Big. Maybe it's 800 room hotel. Today they make 1,000 room hotels, but let's just say an 800 room hotel. You can go find out. 10, 12, 15 story, wide building. It wasn't a particularly attractive building. It was just a hotel with Sheraton Hotel written across the very Sheraton. Just a big Sheraton name, I think, on the hotel. So when you fly in or you drive by, you see this big red Sheraton sign on both sides of the building. Back before they had sign control. It was a big sign bolted onto the top end of the building. The whole parapet that covered up all the elevator machinery and the air conditioning machinery and whatever stuff they had on the rooftop of this hotel was covered up from ground view by the parapet. That's what they call that. Wall that surrounds all the equipment. And on the parapet, they bolted on this huge sign. That was all planned by the architects when they designed the building, before it was built. Anyway, so 7:30 became 8:30. Well, about 8:45, this woman was, coming up behind me. I was sitting at a table of 4 with 3 of us. Across from me was Karen Brown. She was the head of Royal Trust Bank's HR department, which is big. It was we probably had 1,000 employees, and she was in charge of HR for all the banks, all the regional banks, whatever, in the United States, in Florida. And then Jill Thagard, Thagard, something like that. Jill, Jil, lady, 2 ladies, and Jimmy, and an open seat. So Jill Thagard is sitting on my left. Karen Brown is sitting across to me on this foretop. And on my right side, it was an empty chair. Well, this lady comes walking up from behind me. I just turned around a little bit to notice, her torso, because I didn't turn all the way around. I figured she looks like she's going to sit down, so when she starts to sit down, I'll get up, being the gentleman I was. And I said, "Hey, how are you, Marilyn? Yeah, you were in this class? I'd be darned, I didn't see. Yeah, I was in the class." And she rumbles a little bit. I said, "Well, great. How'd you like it?" She says, "Very well done. You did a very good segment." Well, thank you. So she sat down, and would you like a glass of wine? She carried over a glass of wine. Would you like that wine refreshed for you? So I call her Garçon. The young lady would like a glass of, what are you drinking? Whatever this, I think she broke me into, let's see, white wine. Maybe I was a red wine drinker, and she brought over a glass of white wine. So I said, I'll try some of that too. Get rid of this red, it's only so much red wine you can drink, it's too heavy. So, but they say white wine is a drinking man's wine. In Europe, they drink it instead of water because the water is no good. So you drink wine, and there's no amoebas in there to give you dysentery. So if you're wondering why these European countries, why they drink wine? Because they can't drink the water. Yeah, all the water systems have been flooded out, you know. See, Venice, it's like you fly around there in a little boat. You can't even drive a car. Who just called me? 3625311. Oh, that's Publix. That's I sent them my insurance information by fax. They're calling me or texting. I got a text message from my pharmacy. Is that crazy or what? Jeez. So I'll show you what that looks like. I'm on the. Let's see if I'm connected to Publix. PUBLIX. Well, they didn't get upset. Apparently, they didn't get upset with the where's the Publix text message thing? Oh, let's just push that one. See what happens. No, that ain't it. That's for buying stuff from the store. Come on, let's come back. Oh, well, heck with it. We'll go. I can find it on my phone here. Let's just take a peek. My interest now is it's not going to tell me too much. So I'm logging in to the Publix application, which is too bright. You can't see it. Turn the brightness down. Yeah. There we go. There we go. See, now you can see it. This lens is very sensitive to light. All right, so I'm going to push prescriptions. Ready for pickup. I got 2 things ready for pickup for Maryland. Nothing. And I have something. Ozempic is in progress. So I have 3 things in progress for me. And 2 things are ready. But that's not the text messaging. Let's go to text messaging. And yeah, there it is. See, you can see Publix Pharmacy. Call this number. Call to update your insurance information. Yeah, I probably didn't give them enough information. You give them something, they want more. I sent them a fax about my insurance information. So, let's just open it. No, this is anyway. So they're asking for insurance information. That's nice. I like the text message because you get it right away. It's in your pocket. Email. Oh my God. I've been teaching at FAU for 20 years. And you have to hand out your email information. Well, then that gets handed out to other people. No, it's online. My phone number's online. So I get all kinds of goofy calls, which I don't answer. My phone will not answer. It goes directly to voicemail if you're not in my address book. So if I meet a new customer, client, friend, whatever, I've got to enter them in my address book or else they can't call me. They can call me, but it's going to go to voicemail, and then I have to get the voicemail, and then I have to answer the voicemail. So I put them in my address book. I got like 2,500 people in my address book. Some of them probably passed away. They die. I don't erase them. I don't have the guts. They stay in there for perpetuity. Anyway, so for the last 10 years, I've accumulated about 2,500 people in my address book. I can prove that to you, but take my word for it. I just upgraded my phone and I saw the numbers. 2,500 something. Anyway, so the crowd contracted. Marilyn sat down. We each had a glass of white wine. Karen Brown and Jill Thagard stayed. So it's me and 3 ladies. And this is my first conversation directly with Marilyn. She's sitting right to my right. I said, so Marilyn, we finally meet. We've seen each other for like 6 years, but we never actually shook hands, had a hug or anything, So how are you? Who are you? What's going on? So we started yapping. The other 2 girls, they were yapping. And I'm yapping with Marilyn and going back and forth, and she's talking, I'm talking, and it's a very spirited conversation. And if I seem a little this and that, I just went through a divorce. She said, "You're kidding. I went through a divorce." So then we're talking about our divorces, and and of course these other two girls are interested in everything because I never told them any stories about my divorce. They knew about it because Bob Curtis probably told them, because in some executive committee, oh, by the way, Jimmy's going through a divorce, so if he's a little cranky, it's just because of that. So then the entire senior executive staff and, the board of directors, everyone knew about my divorce. It leaks out, people yap. Anyway, so I'm yapping with Marilyn and we're talking, and, we're becoming, pretty one-on-one conversation here with two other ladies. Every once in a while we'd pick up and say, "How you all doing?" Or I'd get up and go to the bathroom and the three ladies would talk. Or she'd get up and go to the bathroom and I'd talk about Marilyn to the other two ladies. Marilyn was really extremely impressive person to meet. She was stunning, number one. I mean, she was like 11 on the 10-point scale. When she walked in a room, the heads turned, period. Everybody's heads. The women looked at her because she was a beautiful woman. The men looked at her because she was a beautiful woman. Everybody, unless you were like, phew, just got out of Siberia and, you can't see. There's no way she walks in a room and people don't notice. And she's bright and cheery, so she's a happy person. So that's magnetic. People like to be around happy people. That's just the way it is. And, she was a happy, other than her divorce, she was a happy, stunning-looking human being. So I was real happy to have a conversation with this person. And, in life, the connecting point here is a stupid training thing. And if she didn't go to the training, I would have never although I've seen her for 6 years, I never met her. Never one-on-one conversation. "Hi, how are you? Who are you?" She said, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're that Jim Wilson over there in Wilstead." I mean, that's how she responded to me. She knew me because I, gave like a 2-minute bio, if you can believe that, in front of my morning class on Thursday with the training thing. Because I like telling them who I am before I start into whatever I was talking about, which I can't remember. But anyway, so now I'm talking to Marilyn. We're like, so from 8:45 until 11:45. So 9:45, 10:45, 11. So for 3 hours, we're like yakking a mile a minute, getting to know who we are. I mean, it was very exciting, and it was good conversation. It was two quality people, I would say. I'll put myself in the word quality. That's what people tell me. It's a quality person, honest person. Relatively happy person. Even at work, I was happy. I didn't carry my home life on my shirt sleeve. I separated the two pretty good. I compartmentalized it, as Bill Clinton used to say when he was fooling around with Monica Lewinsky. He compartmentalized his wife and his personal life and his presidency, and oh my God, talk about a complicated life. Married to Hillary, I can understand why he was. She's not I don't know. That was a marriage of convenience. She got pregnant and probably they had to marry back in those days, and it wasn't happy thereafter. I was happy. I was happy as a clam in the sand until I read that note that Marilyn was fooling around with the history teacher. Then I became slightly unhappy. But I thought everything was fine. I was like shocked that there was something going on. I didn't know. I thought she was taking night classes at FAU. Boy, I fell for that story, huh? Anyway, so 3 hours with Marilyn. I walked her to her car, so I didn't want her to walk out all by herself at midnight to get her car. She'd get mugged or something. So I escorted her out to her car, gave her a little goodnight kiss, And she drove off. But before she drove off, I said, how about if while we were walking to her car, I said, how about if I call you at 10 o'clock Monday morning and we schedule a lunch, hopefully for noon on Monday. So check it out with with McCluskey. I knew him. Because we sat in committees together. I didn't really know her. Never talked about her at all. Never talked to her about her to anybody else, actually. She was just one of these attractive people that walked by my office with a glass. Oh, boy. Anyway, so I got to know her for those 3 hours. I said, so how about if we have lunch on Monday or Tuesday? Preferably Monday. So why don't you get a hold of McCluskey when you go to work on Monday morning and say, hey, could I have a long lunch with Jim Wilson on Monday? He was one of the people in our thing. He said, oh, so you met somebody. I said, yeah, I'd like to go to lunch. Would it be okay if I disappeared for a couple hours at lunchtime? He said, absolutely. You deserve a little happy time since you've been unhappy for, 2 months. That's how he responded to that. And so I called her at 10 o'clock sharp. I had my watch on. Whatever watch it was. It wasn't an Apple Watch. It was some other kind of watch. It was a nice watch. And I knew what time it was. I said at 10, I'm going to call over and I'm going to find out if it's okay to have lunch at 10 o'clock today. She said yes. My boss gave me a long lunch time. I said, good. I said, I'll call you back or text you and tell you where. So we'll meet downstairs at lunchtime, okay, at 11:55. So if you could get down out of your building and come down to the ground floor, I drive a white Mercedes with a blue interior, and I'll wind down the window so you can see me. So when you come out of the lobby of your building, I'll be right in your turn circle of your building to pick you up for lunch. I'll be down there at 11:55 because I want to beat the noon rush. If that's okay with you. She said, that's fine. So that's what she did. And I confirmed, so I had to confirm back, it's going to be the charade. I probably texted her that. See you at 11:55. We're going to have a nice lunch at the charade. And that's what we did. It was in Coral Gables, a 3-minute ride away. Because our offices were kind of in the edge of Coral Gables. And that's what we did. We had lunch. And it was magnificent. We sat at table 74, up the second level, overlooking all the other tables in the lunch area. Charade was a magnificent dinner restaurant, a very nice lunch restaurant. The ladies loved the salads. I don't know what I had for lunch. I don't know what she had. We were like, oh my God. We finally kind of got a little magnetic, if you will. I mean, the lunch we had wine, we're sipping it. Then about halfway through the lunch, I was holding her hand, her left hand with my right hand. The other hand, I was, sipping the wine. I mean, we started to, connect. Literally touching. Yeah, it was, so after lunch, I said, so, I don't want to occupy all your time, but would you like to have dinner? Do you have dinner plans? She says, no. A divorce, you kind of, dinnering by myself, lunchtime I can eat with the girls in the bank, but dinner time is kind of like I'm sitting home and, reading a book or watching TV or something, packing my stuff up because we're going to sell our place. And yeah, so sure, let's have dinner. So we had dinner at Crepe Saint Michel, another magnificent Coral Gables lunch and dinner place. The crepe is it has a little French stuff on there. He bought a crepe machine. He literally flew over, Stuart Bernstein was his name. He bought this restaurant called the Crepe Saint Michel. The Crepe Saint Michel. And of course you have to make crepes. If the name of your... And it's beautiful, a pastry thing they roll up and they got, lobster stuff inside the crepe. Oh my God. Oh, what you could get for $8 or $9 45 years ago. But those crepes, well, their crepe machine broke. So whoever started the restaurant, 5 years before Stewart bought it, the crepe machine was starting to die, so they had to replace it. So he literally flew over to France and purchased a $5,000 crepe machine and flew it back with him. And he, they had some kind of a truck at the airport or this and that. I mean, he flew to France to get the crepe machine. He might have spent a day or two extra, but he wasn't gone for 2 weeks. He got a crepe machine. He packed it in the airplane somehow, got permission, special pass to fly this wooden crate back to the United States. I don't know what the hell kind of airline would do that, but I guess they all do it. If you special do it. It goes in a separate part of the airplane other than where the baggage goes. There's a lot of these airlines carry all kinds of freight with them. Non-explosive, non-poisonous boxes, bodies, if someone drops dead and they got to get flown back to the United States. They fly back in the underneath part of the aircraft. Passengers don't know. They don't announce it. It's in a sealed box underneath your seats. Underneath the floorboard if you bang your feet on the floor. Yeah, so anyway, we went to lunch. It began as a nice talking lunch, finishing up conversations we had on Friday late evening. And then about halfway through that lunch, it became a little on the romantic side because her hand was on the table and I picked up her hand in my hand and I held it for the whole hour. Maybe I let go and rub my nose around, I don't know. But we were hand holding by the halfway through that lunch, which is, so and I remember thinking to myself, I'm a senior officer and she's an officer. So, you got all this sexual harassment crap. In 45 years ago, it was, not happening that much or, whatever. But it just came across my mind because I used to be a high school teacher and you're not allowed to fool around with the students. That is frowned upon in Broward County Board of Public Instruction. Oh, yeah. They'll fire your ass in New York Minute and you'll probably be, sent to jail for fooling around with an underage person. And so you don't touch a student. No. So, I had that kind of training because I taught for a few years at high school. And I got out of teaching and I ended up in banking. That's not exactly a straight line up, but that's what I did. And met Marilyn. And just before I grabbed her hand, I said, do I have any harassment issues with this woman? And I said, you know what? She's an officer and I'm an officer. We're in different buildings. We've already met. We had wine together for 3 hours, for God's sakes, so I didn't touch her. We sat next to each other. I did give her a little, kissy face thing good night. Real quick one, just a kiss goodnight. How do you not give a woman like this a kiss goodnight after 3 hours of drinking wine? So I was, and then said something about lunch on Monday. So we both went back to our corners for the weekend. And so that was that. And we had lunch. I grabbed her hand, so I decided not to be concerned about harassment issues with a coworker we really weren't co-workers because he worked in different buildings and different departments. I never spoke to her on the phone in the bank. Had no reason to. Didn't know who she was. Didn't know where her phone number was. I knew she was on the 20th floor of the tower building, and I knew I was on the 4th floor of the building next to the tower building, the bank building. Yeah, because the bank building was where I was. And they bought the bank and the employees and everything, and all the customers remained, most of them did. So we had a very busy lobby with customers flowing in and out. This is a big bank, $500 million, $600 million bank, something like that, which, 40 years ago was like $1 billion bank, probably. Anyway, so they had offices on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor. I think a lot of bank offices on the 2nd floor, and other tenants, like our bank lawyer, I think he was on the 3rd floor with a whole bunch of other lawyers. But the primary lawyer that I dealt with closed our loans. Let's see. And we were on the 4th floor, I believe. Yeah, we had the whole 4th floor. The real estate was on the west side of the building. The commercial loan department was on the east side of the building. The executive offices were on the north, and Bob Curtis is on the south side of the building. So he was in charge of all lending. So you had the whole real estate bank on one side, the commercial bank was on the other side, and Bob Curtis is right between. I think he was the only office because the elevator shafts were on, on the, let's see, east side of the building, yeah. All right, that's my story. That's how I started my romantic relationship with Marilyn, and, so a year and a half later we got married. So we dated, unanimously. We didn't have other dates. I didn't have any other dates. She was the only date if I wasn't going out with her, I wasn't going out. And I think that's the way it was for her. I don't think she took any other dating at all. We were like white on rice. It was a very magnetic, easy relationship to have happened. And 45 years later, we're still snug as a bug on a rug. We kind of, you get, she's 70-something and I'm almost 80. Can you imagine? Almost 80. Oh, crap. Whew. In 2 more weeks, I'm 80. Talk about crowding 80. Holy crap. 2 more weeks. 2. Yep. That's it. March 20, the first day of spring. At 9:36 a.m., Jimmy popped out of my mother. Screaming and yelling. Oh, my God. Yeah. Yipper. Okay, it's 11. Can you believe it? It's 11 o'clock with 35 seconds. And I've been yakking away here. I haven't really talked about any of the news. We've got news about Mars. Look at this. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak says Tesla is the worst in the world for improving its technology for drivers. Now that's a fancy way of saying, Tesla, get the full self-driving going already. You've been saying it's coming for 5 years. And Steve Wozniak is slapping you in the face with this. Because when Steve Wozniak says, Tesla, it's the worst in the world for improving its technology for drivers. It's a marvelous car. I love it. I have one. We're on our second one, actually. We started driving Teslas 4 years ago. We had a 3-year lease, turned it in. Now we're on finished our first year of the second lease. Well, March 18th. So in 11 days, we'll have the second car for a year. And it's, oh my God, what an improvement over the first one. They were both Model Ys, and all the little tweaking and things that they did, improved this and improved that, and, yada, yada, yada. After 4 years, they improved the Tesla magnificently. I mean, the ride was so much quieter in the new car than the old car. You look at the outside of it, it looks the same old car. But inside, there was 1,000 little tweaks. Electronically and physically. The seating was better. The ride was unbelievably quieter. They're sneaky good, I'll tell you. It was the Model Y Tesla was the best-selling car in the world. Now, that's a lot of places. And surely in the United States. Not the best-selling electric car, best-selling car, period. You compare it to the Hondas and and the Fords and this and that. But for a four-door sedan, it was the most sold car for the last 2 years, not just the last year. We haven't got the data on 2024 yet. But for 2023 and 2022, the Model Y was the best-selling car in the United States. Let's just keep it that simple. And we'll see where it is on the pecking order for, 2024. It's probably the best-selling car in 2024. I don't know. All I can tell you is Tesla called me, because our anniversary date on our first car was in June. But they called me in the first day of March and said, or last week in February, and said, hey, how would you like to turn in your Tesla early? We'll pay for the months, so you don't have to pay. We'll pick up the last 2 months of your Tesla lease. You jump into your car, in March. So that way, April and May, we'll pay for. And it was actually June 20th or something around. No, it was like June 4th or 5th. So, if you pop into your car, you pay in advance. So the May payment's already made. So anyway, in March, you can get out of your car 2 months early, and we'll pick up your disposition fee. We'll give you $500 worth of incidental damage if there's any. I told them the mileage, which they were loving, because the mileage is like 19,000 miles after 3 years. It was a 30,000 mile lease. We turned it in with less than 20,000 miles. So that means the car has got 10,000 miles left on the first lease, in a sense. So it's what they call a low mileage car when you turn it in that way. Anyway, so we're on our second car as of March 18th. And Steve Wozniak has given Tesla some crap because they keep talking about the better software, but they're not delivering. Well, they're delivering a little bit. I mean, the software is better now than ever. In the early year, in the 3 years that I had the other car, in the first 9 months of this new one, the self-driving is too aggressive. It doesn't drive like a person. It drives like, a computer in fast speed. So I never kept the full self-driving on. You have the ability to turn it on or off. You pay $100 a month and you can do your full self-driving. It used to be $200 a month. They dropped it to $100 a month. But I don't like the way it drives, so I don't use it. It has, they have an autopilot. It's like a cruise control. If you don't have the full self-driving module activated, they turn it on with a software switch. The full self-driving software is in the car, but the software switch keeps it off because I'm not paying the $100 a month extra, which I would if it worked. But it drives too. Now I used the. I've read reports from people that write reports about Teslas. Car geniuses. They have blogs and they have reports, and I've heard some blogs about the version 13.2 or the version 13.4, which is the full self-driving version number. And that's a graduation because it went from 12 to 13. And almost everybody that I have listened to, podcasting wise or writing about it, says that the version 13 software is a big step forward from version 12. The version from 10 to 11 and 11 to 12, they were jumps of improvement, but from 12 to 13 was a huge step. It really knows how to look at intersections. It drives the intersections as if a person was doing it. So it wasn't like nervous and jerky. It was, it was like it's smoothed out. So with the 7 cameras that surround the car, 2 on each side, 2 in the front and 1 in the rear, between those 7 cameras, they call it the vision, Neuralink. There's some of the vocabulary words when Elon Musk talks about his full self-driving software. But the version 13.2 and 4 is a huge step ahead of, the last version in version 12. Every writer, every podcaster, and I'm a technical guy, so I pay attention to these kind of writers and podcasters, television people. I'm a podcaster, so to speak. Look at that, full screen of video, and I can, if I click, producer, click on this one right here. There you go. So now you got a full screen of Steve Wozniak. Make Bitcoin great again. So there's a lot of yapping about Bitcoins. I don't have any. I don't have any excess money to deal with Bitcoin. Fortunately, I plug my car in. I don't have to buy gasoline. We're saving like $125 a month by not buying gasoline. The difference between electricity to energize the car or gasoline fuel to energize the car. Since I'm not driving a car with a gasoline engine in it, I'm driving an electric car with 2 electric motors in it, front and back, 4-wheel drive. And, figuring at about 25 mile per gallon equivalency, I'm saving. I can show you the app. I will actually show you the app. Right here, you see it's full screen. Charge stats. I'm going to press that button. It's right in the middle. Per month. It's loading up. I hope. This is live television. What? Come on, wait. Are we connected? Oh, it didn't connect for 2 days. So you see the little last scene. There we go. See, it's parked. The battery is 46%. It is parked in the parking lot at 5000 Glades Road. That's where Maryland is. And there we go. You can see it in the parking lot. You see Seacoast Bank. I mean, the car has its own system that you can log into. So you can see where the car is. You can see how fast it's going. You can see version 12, the software. So I'm not using the full self-driving software because I'm not paying $100 a month until they have another version to see how that works. And it'll probably be in June. It seems like every 6 months, Tesla gives you a free month of full self-driving. At least they did last June, and they did this December or January. So hopefully they give another free month in June. And if it's full self-driving without the word supervised on it, I'm waiting until they they say it's because supervised means beta. They changed beta to supervised, so it's like a half a step forward. So when they remove that moniker, which will probably be sometime this year, then I might sign up at $100 a month. Anyway, let's go to charge stats. Since I'm now online with the car, there we go. The charge stats should populate. So for the last 31 days, I spent $41 in electricity, and I would have spent $132 in gasoline. So I saved $91 for the last 31 days. It's not month to month, it's the last 31 days. So that way, every time you pull this up, it says there, and my home charge rate is 14 cents per kilowatt. That's that. So you can see it's all blue. So the entire bit of charging has been at home. Now that's not the way it's always been. Let's do a year. So it's going to go back to last March. It's almost a full year. So you can see April, May, June, July, August. The red on top is where I had to charge with a supercharger. So 38% of the time I charged with a supercharger, which is Tesla's charging network, away from home. And they charge, I have it here at 21 cents a kilowatt. It's actually higher than that. I need to change that one. It's more like 35 cents a kilowatt. It's like triple, So the home cost I'm saying is 15, and the supercharger is 21. It's actually more than that. I should do that. I guess but it amounts to like 38% of our charging. And since my parking spot has a plug, because I swapped with the good doctor that had a Tesla for a number of years, and he paid $2,000 to bring 230 volts at 30 amps to the column where I am now parked, because we swapped parking places unofficially. So you can see, as of almost for the whole year, that's it. So, but if I hit the year to date, you can see those numbers, and 62% of the charging was at home, which is the blue, and 38% of the time it was supercharge. Like here's supercharge, filled it all the way up on August, September. Every month we plugged in. I plugged into the charger when the parking space next to the good doctor was empty, and then I could plug in. But I couldn't consistently do it. And apparently in September, October, most of my charging was done at superchargers. There's one near Maryland's Bank, like 1,000 feet away, so she can just pull out of one parking lot and drive into another one, and get this one of the 12 superchargers there in the Boca Raton Mall. And there's no work charges per se, and there's no other charges per se. So there's only two ways we charge up. But see, as of when we do month to date, so this is like the month of February. It's taking a while to load up here. Charge stats, month to date. Error, retry. Checking the internet connection. There we go, bingo. So for the last 31 days, which is all of February and a few days in March, it's 299 kilowatts. 299,000 watts of energy. You got the 1,000-watt light bulb. This is 299,000 watts were put into the fuel tanks of our Tesla, aka battery. I'm trying not to use the word battery because people don't understand, the battery structure in a Tesla. It's a whole bunch of little batteries, and they're all connected together to produce a battery. So I call it a fuel tank. So you either have a gasoline fuel tank, it's fuel. Electric energy is fuel. It powers the motors. See, I'm using a word that can be used in the world of gasoline engines or in the world of electric engines. And we'll just call it a fuel tank. We are energizing our fuel tank with, in the case of an electric car, electricity. If you're energizing a fuel tank and you have a car, you're energizing it with isooctane gasoline. How about that for a word? Isooctane. Heptane. Methane, butane, ethane, heptane. Isooctane. An 8-sided carbon molecule that is part of the fractional distillation. Oh God. Elon, I got a note on my watch. Elon Musk has discovered massive fraud in the Social Security system. That's different than just birth dates. When Trump had his speech a couple of nights ago, he said there were 13,000 people over the age of some thousands. It was a big number. 20,000. 35,000. There are a lot of people that are over the year 110. So he looks over to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and says, hey, apparently the health system's working pretty good because we got 35,000 people over the age of 110. He looks at Trump back and says, no, we don't. So that means, look, I'm taking a Social Security check. Of roughly $3,000 a month. That's my Social Security income. $3,000 a month, almost to the dollar. Maryland's the same. We're about the same Social Security check. I started taking it early. That's why it's only $3,000 a month. She took it a little later in her life, and she's at $3,000 a month. So between the two of us, it's $6,000 a month. So that's 3 and 3 is 6. 6 times 12 is 72. That's the way it is. 72,000. And Trump is going to make it so Social Security income will not be taxed. All right, so if I drop dead, heaven forbid, I'm not ready yet to drop dead. I feel good, actually. Anyway, so when I drop dead, there will be a time or day, I don't know when, let's say it's 95 years old. I'll be some wrinkled old sucker sitting in the couch watching Fox News. So when I'm 94 and a half, I'm 95, all of a sudden I take my last breath. Now, Marilyn, assuming I predecease Marilyn, predecease means die first, die before, then she is supposed to, within 30 days, she is supposed to send a mail. It's a form you download from the Social Security Administration, and you are responsible to turn off the Social Security for my check, for Jimmy's check, because he's dead. Social Security pays until you die, and then they don't pay you anymore. So if I get another, 10 years of Social Security, I'll be 90 instead of 80, I'm assuming the positive. Then I don't walk into a bus tomorrow. But the surviving heir, whoever is handling it, is required by law to fill out a form, the Social Security form, that says, Jimmy ain't with us anymore. His Social Security number is, and stop sending Social Security, those boxes you check, and you sign it, as someone that has something to do with the estate. And then Social Security doesn't send you checks anymore. Well, apparently, tens of thousands of people, intentionally or unintentionally, are not doing that, and they continue to get these Social Security checks, which is essentially bankrupting the Social Security system, because when you die, you're not supposed to be paying Social Security. You're not supposed to be receiving that. And they can claw that back. In other words, it's a crime. It's probably a felony, because the tax system and Social Security is part of government, and then that. If you violate any of the provisions, monetary provisions of the Social Security Administration, I don't think it's a misdemeanor. It's probably a felony. So that means fines and jail time, maybe. Well, there are a lot of people. Maybe they're old, maybe they're stupid, maybe they're not so stupid. But they hate to turn off that $3,000 check or whatever the hell, the elderly 10 years ago, 15 years, 20 years ago, the Social Security checks may be $2,000 instead of now $3,000. I'm guessing. I don't know what, I don't know what my parents, if they got Social Security income, what it was. I actually don't have a clue. Anyway, so the surviving heir, someone is a surviving heir of an estate. It's either a spouse or a child. Because when you all drop dead, one by one, hopefully, a long time from now. So if I die, then Marilyn is like in charge of the estate. Daniel will help Marilyn through all that. Then eventually she drops dead. Well, then Daniel is in charge. So there's always somebody that turns off the Social Security checks if they're getting Social Security checks. And that's the requirement, according to the Social Security Administration, and the IRS, by the way. You must turn off Social Security when that Social Security recipient passes away. And you may even have to send a copy of the death certificate. They probably ask for it and may not get it, but at least if they get word to stop funding, they'll do that, and then they may send you a follow-up message, say, send us a copy of the death certificate, and they'll stuff that in the file too. I'll bet you that's in the regulation. But I don't know, because I haven't handled anybody's Social Security benefits that I had to turn off. And hopefully I never do. It's only Marilyn at this point, so, and hopefully I predecease her, because I don't want to be living on this planet without her. So I got children, but when you're living with somebody for 45 years and all of a sudden your best friend, someone you had children with, anyway. So there are a lot of people that are getting Social Security benefits that shouldn't, apparently. And Elon Musk is now reporting, because his people that he's actually brought people in from his companies that are smart youngsters, that they're finding out all this stuff about the Social Security Administration and the fraud that's going on in there. Fraud, absolute fraud. Yep. So, God, where did my trash can go? It's all the way over on Maryland's side. There's a wiggle on my feet. Anyway, I just emptied out all these little wrappers out of my pocket. Whoop, there's another one. Jeez. All right, I'm done. I just wanted to show you. This is all live information from my Tesla car. Last month, based on the price of gasoline, that gets picked up automatically through the system. It goes to the internet to find out the average price of gasoline, or the regional price of gasoline, because it knows the car's here. I don't set that. So now I would have been charged $41 for that electricity. But guess what? It's plugged into the building, and the building doesn't charge me. When they put the plug in, they told the good doctor, "Hey, look, you paid $2,000 to wire it. We'll just forget it. We got so many BTUs here. The hell with it. Just go ahead and we're not going to charge you for the juice, and we're not separately metering you." Now, if they decided to start charging me, years later or now, I would say, "Look, I got a fuel thing in my car. I'll show you a copy of the graph, and whatever my fuel charge, spent says up here for my kilowatts, that's what I'll pay you." So I should have paid the building. I would have paid the building if it was my plug, $41 a month. But they're not charging me, so I'm not actually spending $41. But I have it set up so I can see that number, because in the event someday the building manager decides to charge me for the juice in that plug, and they separate meter it, hey, look, I'll save you the expense of separately metering it. I'll just tell you what my car is telling me I spent, because it thinks I'm spending 14 cents a kilowatt, which is what the rate is. And that's set by the state of Florida, and I'm picking up that number. The car is picking up that number directly from the state of Florida, Florida Power and Light, I should say. Yep. So I would have spent 41. I'm actually spent 0. So I got 299 kilowatts of energy for no cost at all. So the amount of money I saved is actually $132, because the total spent is 0, because I haven't given anybody the $41. So I can add that back into what I would have paid in gas. So that's, the gas equivalent is 132 dollars. So you can see that I would have paid $132 if I was driving a gasoline car. And today I'm paying 0. So the $91 is really $132, because I'm not writing a check for $91 to anybody. Or I'm not writing a check, for the $41. So 41 taken away from 132 is I saved 90. I actually saved everything. So my total charge, is, if I was driving a gas car, driving the miles I drove, with the mileage at 25 miles per gallon, I would have filled up 3 times at $40 a fill up, plus or minus a little bit. I don't drive a gas car anymore. I'm electric. And I'm plugged in. The convenience of just plugging in at night, every 2 or 3 nights, not every night. Whenever it gets below 50% full, Marilyn or I will plug it in. And so it's like twice a week, let's say. All right. I got off into that because we were talking about Wozniak and SpaceX, and I thought about my electric car. So I have these panels. I got all kinds of stuff to do. Because I haven't talked to you about SpaceX. Trump is putting new limits on Elon Musk's authority to do things, because the backlash against the Doge. Now, Elon Musk doesn't have any authority. He just tells Trump, or Elon tells other people in the administration, what he's discovered. And then he tells Trump that also. So if he's dealing with Social Security, he's going to deal with the administrator of Social Security, and he's going to deal with Trump. And he's going to tell him what he's discovered. And then between Trump and that administrator, they're going to make it happen in Congress if it requires Congress, or executive order, whatever. But Elon actually doesn't have any authority to write an executive order. He's and he's not even being paid. He's just a person that Trump has nominated or decided, because there's no approval process. He's the president has the ability to put, executive assistants covering whatever subject matter he wants examined, or looked at or managed from a professorial level. Not, he doesn't have the ability to hire or fire anybody other than the people that are in the Doge group, which he says he has about 100 people, he thinks. And he's plucking, smart engineering type, financial engineering type people between Tesla and SpaceX, probably. Because, you got financial people in both those big companies. They're both multi-billion-dollar companies. So he takes 50 out of each company. And, he's got 100 people that are all loyal to, the Musk organizations. He knows them through their personnel files. He doesn't personally know them because you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of people. So he doesn't know everybody. And, any senior executive knows 50 people in the company, tops. And then the other 400,000 he doesn't know. I mean, what the hell? It's a big company. That's why you have a chain of command. Anyway, so that's how I got into Tesla, because Trump puts new limits on Elon Musk's authority to make it perfectly clear that he can't hire and fire anybody, which he already knew, but just to make it crystal clear to all the complainers out there, which there are plenty of them. So that's that. It's 11:34 a.m. Let me join the conversation here, producers. You want to add me to the picture? There we go. There we go, with the seam going right down this line right here. You can see the seam line that goes all the way down, but there's no black. That's pretty cool. I kind of like this because it gives you a bigger picture, because you're watching it on whatever device you're watching it on. You're into more of a, I need to do this camera a little bit so you can see the 11. There you go. See, 11:34 a.m. I can twist a little bit so it's not crooked. There we go. This camera is sitting on a tripod up here. It's taped to my table with black tape, electrical tape. And there you go. Now it's stepping up. Oops. I was cleaning out all the stuff I couldn't find. Maryland. There they are. She got me a pair of shamrock socks. Here they are. You can see the socks. A pair of socks. Well, I could only find one of them. And Marilyn says, "Oh my God, where's the other one?" So she searched everywhere, my sock drawer where it's supposed to be. And, so I found the other sock. So now I have a pair of shamrock socks. So when I was rummaging around all my equipment here, and I found it buried behind my MacBook Pro over here, underneath this thing. Deep underneath. Deep. So I had to pull everything apart. So pulling everything apart, I dislodged the tape support structure to keep this tripod in place. That one's good. It's right on the corner. And this other one, later. It's steady now. So what do you say? Leave. Anyway, so you can see I can shake it a little bit, but it's sitting up, about 2 feet above my desk, so it's giving a view, a downward look at my computers, my laptops. This is a clock that's showing I've been on the air 3 hours. Oh my God, it's 11:36. It's time for. I haven't even eaten my breakfast cookie things here. Time for you to get ready for lunch. Let's see where Marilyn is. I bet she's driving in her car for her lunch appointment with her. No, she's not in the car yet. It's still parked at Glades Road. Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to say good day. This is Friday. Marilyn, I think, gets her nails done this Saturday because this is Wednesday cleaning day, and she gets her nails done every other weekend. And this is the day we're going this week. On Friday, we're going away to Daughter Robbins for a fast visit. You know, we haven't seen her in a long time. They were going to everyone was going to go to Europe for my birthday. I said, forget that. I mean, you're going to fly everybody to Europe? Just how about if I just come up there? You know, the four of us will come up there and visit you for my birthday. We'll have my birthday party, which, believe me, no hats, please. Only 8 candles. Don't fill that sucker up with 80 candles. Because, 8 for every decade, okay? It's the big 8-0. So, we don't need balloons and we don't need 80 candles. And I'm not wearing a birthday hat, you know, like I'm 8 years old. That's not happening either. So just leave me alone on my birthday. We'll all get together. That's what I want. I don't want a bunch of nonsense. Okay? You can all sip on wine and have my birthday party, and we'll eat birthday cake, and, you know, you don't buy anything. You've got our airplane tickets. That's good enough. You want to give me a big check? I'll take it. Yes, sir, Bob. Robin's doing okay for herself. She's living in a house that's worth about $1.8 million, and it's no mortgage, all cash. So the only thing she pays is her real estate taxes, which is about $1,000 a month. So that's quite a housing payment. You're living in a house on the water that's worth today $1.8 million. So in a couple of years, it'll be worth $2 million. It's a multi-million-dollar house. Put it that way. Very nice house. Right on the Chesapeake, right off the Chesapeake Bay, on a navigable waterway. So she could have a 50-foot boat out back. You know, she's got a nice big long dock. Yeah, I mean, it could, you know, if she hit the lottery or something and got a 50-foot boat, she could tie it up on her dock. You probably have to fortify it a little bit, but you've got a big long dock. It's got a little tiny 25-foot boat up on, you know, those cables that lift boats out of water, whatever you call those. Never had a big boat. So, anyway, I got my portable oxygen thing, which I have to call them today because they sent the wrong one. But I'll take it. And I want the, what do you call it? The G5. Yep. And they sent me some other brand. It weighs 5-6 pounds instead of the, you know, the other unit, the G5 that weighs 2.8 pounds. And the 2.8 pounder produces more oxygen than this one does. So this is an older model. It's designed and manufactured in Germany, I think, because it's got like German symbols on it somewhere in the back. But they didn't send what the prescription calls for. And my doctor and I did a lot of research to get the right one. And she said, when I talked to her, yes, we have it. And, you know, they did this whole prescription thing and had it all ready, you know, in 3 days, which is magical, including the insurance coverage and everything. So that part's great. They just got the wrong unit. So now I got to battle that out this afternoon. I told Marilyn, should I really? She said, yeah. Why the hell not? It should be in the prescription. Anyway, so I'll talk to you later. I'm done. So I'm going to turn up the music for 20 or 30 seconds. I'm supposed to the tail end of this broadcast needs to be March 7. Bingo. I'm supposed to go full screen on March 7, which I have the ability to do. Bingo. And now I'm going to give you some pure instrumental music for about 30 seconds, and then the screen is going to go black. And you have a nice lunch, and I may be able to talk to you tomorrow morning if Marilyn does her nails in the morning, which she usually does, so I can get on the air at 9 o'clock or 9:30 to 11:30. A couple hours tomorrow, all right? So have a great lunch.